This week on Culture Q,
RuPaul's Drag Race casting shocker.
We chat with IGLTA's president, John Tanzella.
And big political wins in Canada and Chile.
It's Andy Lalwani here.
And I'm your guest co-host, ET's Denny Directo. This is Culture Q.
And here are some of the highlights this week in queer culture. Last week, the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 14 was finally announced, and the reveal has everyone talking.
I came to win all this bread.
There's always got to be a wild card.
I'm here to raise some hell.
The announcement presents a few firsts for the franchise, starting with the casting of two trans competitors, Carrie Colby and Cornbread the Snack Jeté. We've seen trans representation on the show before, but this is the first time in history that there have been two trans queens cast in the main Drag Race series, and they're already winning over the fans.
I'm America's Next Drag Superstar because I give you 100% authenticity. I had to slow that word out because I would have messed it up because it's a big word for me.
Another first was the casting of a cisgender heterosexual male queen named Maddie Morphosis, which has a lot of people talking online. Fan and Twitter user Leo Xander writes, hell no, this is not the diverse cast slay that they think this is. Goodbye, WTF is a cishet doing in a queer space. Others see it as exciting and progressive. A cishet man rejecting toxic masculinity to this extent, mama, that is groundbreaking. And even Michelle Visage joined in, telling a lot of the fans, everyone is welcome. And as for Maddie, he commented on the entire controversy, saying, I think one of the best things to come out of my casting is that it's kicking up a lot more talk about representation in the drag scene. To catch these queens and more, you can find RuPaul's Drag Race Season 14 on VH1 starting January 7th.
Well, just when you thought Christmas was already as gay as it could get, guess again, because these new holiday rom-coms just made the Yuletide even gayer. Last week, Netflix released its newest original movie, Single All the Way, starring Michael Urie and Philemon Chambers. The film tells a story about a gay man traveling home for the holidays and pretending to be in a relationship with his best friend to appease his family.
Your family really wants you to have a relationship.
Yes, I know, that's very clear.
This might be a storyline we've seen in many Christmas rom-coms on Lifetime and Hallmark, but those are almost always centered on conservative straight white people. This one aims to change the game. Philemon Chambers, who plays the film's love interest, was particularly excited about the project, saying, the beautiful part is that me, Michael Urie, our director, and also our executive producer and our writer, we're all queer. It was just one of those things where you had many different levels of voice, especially coming from a Black queer perspective. It was just really great. But Single All the Way isn't the only queer holiday rom-com coming to your TV this year. Writer, director, and producer Kristen Baker brings you Christmas at the Ranch, a film about a young woman returning home for the holidays and unexpectedly falling for a female ranch hand.
Listen, I don't want to get all Mariah Carey on you or whatever, but all I want for Christmas this year is someone to share it with. I just asked Santa Claus for a girlfriend.
Baker, who helmed two other queer holiday films in the last couple of years, Seasons of Love and I Hate New Year's, was excited to bring Single All the Way to the screen.
Just swooping in at the very last second to save the day.
This week on Culture Q, we got to sit down with the president of the International LGBTQ+ Travel Association, John Tanzella.
Buongiorno, IGLTA. I come to you atop Milan, our host city.
So we're here today with John Tanzella, who is the CEO and president of IGLTA. First of all, welcome. Where are you reporting in from this morning?
Well, thank you for having me. This is really exciting. I am calling in from South Florida, sort of between Fort Lauderdale and Miami. We're having what we like to call Los Angeles weather. We say that every winter.
You know, I'm familiar with IGLTA, but can you explain to some people who are watching this who may not know what this is?
We're a nonprofit organization that began in 1983 as an underground organization of travel agents and gay guest house owners working together to ensure that their LGBT clientele had a safe and welcoming travel experience. It was just 25 travel companies in Toronto and South Florida. Fast forward to 2021, we're sort of doing the same thing, but on a much more grand scale on a lot more projects, but we now do it in 82 countries. You know, everything from cruise lines and tour operators to destinations, airlines.
Would you agree with the statement that LGBTQ+ travelers are leading the way for tourism?
Oh, most definitely, post-COVID. I think we all know in our community that, the gays are the first ones out to travel after something horrible happening like 9/11, but we're always the first going out and exploring new destinations. We did just do a research project, an overwhelming desire to travel post-COVID versus non-LGBT travelers. And then also, 83% of us in our community have a passport. And the general population is only like 35%. We love to travel, right?
I don't disagree with that. And you also have a lot of data to back that up.
This study, for example, anybody can download it on our website. We've done other research projects with the European Union, with New York University, Pacific Asia Travel Association. And it's always really showing the propensity to travel from our community and the willingness to travel to new destinations. Some people don't want to go where, the laws are against us. Why am I going to spend my money there? There's definitely a case to be made for that. That's not the case we make, because that means you're not going to go to 72 countries. Italy is a very conservative country. They didn't even know what the word gay meant until 10 years ago. Next year, our convention is in Milan, which is a very progressive city. Things change, Jamaica is not going to change overnight. I think boycotting is probably not the correct answer. So I don't think it's a sustainable long-term solution, or you're just not going to see the world. Just in our country alone, places you would probably avoid.
Absolutely. I could definitely relate to that sentiment alone. Is there any trend that you've seen time after time, or any trends lately when it comes to LGBTQ plus travel?
LGBT travelers are a little more tuned into sustainable tourism. The community is wanting to support the LGBT communities where they're doing business. Maybe an LGBT nonprofit in Myanmar to help support them, and maybe have a volunteer activity or donations, things like that I think seems to be more in the agendas or itineraries that we're seeing for 22 and 23. It's supporting small business, supporting our community, because we're very privileged to travel the world. And a lot of places we travel to, the community there is not traveling the world. So it's a way to give back.
And you have a lot of resources too for many tourists, many people, including the HIV travel guide, the marriage equality guide. What resources are you able to also give people when it comes to those decisions in travel making now, seeing to the future?
That's what we do really, right? Is we provide information and resources. We don't book travel. We have our members do that. We're like an umbrella organization. We're working on a transgender project to help train tourism professionals around the world on welcoming this segment of our community. We also have a country guide. We try to have unique content. There's a lot of content out there. We try to be non-biased as a nonprofit. We also have a marriage equality one. So if you're looking at traveling abroad to get married or honeymoon, we have a guide as well to different countries on what's legal, what's not.
There's also the IGLTA Foundation. Can you explain, what that is and what it does for travelers?
All of this actually that we're talking about under research does fall under our foundation. We developed it about 5 years ago as a means to do these kind of projects, free for any traveler to look at.
What do you see for the coming future with the IGLTA? Is there anything that you all are planning or working on in the next few years?
We have an annual convention, which is really a business-to-business conference, but that's in Italy next year, like I mentioned. But then we do educational content at mainstream conferences throughout the world. We'll be doing more research projects next year. India is a really big one for next year. Working on opening India up more for LGBT travelers. We're always doing some sort of project somewhere around the world. If
you'd like to book a trip or even learn more, you can head to IGLTA.org to get started.
And now let's take a look at some of the LGBTQ news happening around the world. First up, here in the US, a Christian adoption agency is suing the Biden administration over LGBTQ discrimination protections put in place in May. The Holston United Methodist Home for Children, which is based in Greenville, Tennessee, believes that the practice of homosexuality is incompatible with Christian teaching and stands against placing children with LGBTQ families. The children's home filed a lawsuit last week claiming the protections are a violation of their religious freedom, because nothing says Christianity like good old-fashioned discrimination. And United States Secretary of Health and Human Services Xavier Becerra said he is committed to blocking the use of any religious waivers, saying the waivers are inconsistent with the department's critical goal of combating discrimination based on religion, sexual orientation, and gender identity. In a little bit brighter news, Canada had some major wins for Team LGBTQ this week. In a unanimous decision, Canada's House of Commons has voted for a ban on the use of conversion therapy. Prime Minister of Canada Justin Trudeau tweeted in celebration and also outlined next steps, saying, "Today, members of Parliament worked together to pass our government's legislation banning conversion therapy. and it is now headed to the Senate. We'll keep working to make sure this abhorrent and unacceptable practice is prohibited in Canada. Special LGBTQ advisor Randy Boissonnault stated, "We said we wanted people to be on the right side of history on this issue. It's a great day for survivors to know that no one else is going to go through what they went through." And in more good news, Chile continues its wave of inclusion, making history yet again. Amelia Schneider was recently elected to the National Congress of Chile, making her the country's first out transgender person to become an elected official. And ahead of this month's presidential elections, where there is worry that a conservative candidate might win, she is committed to keeping LGBTQ rights the forefront, saying, "The far right seeks fear to prevail, but we have to make hope prevail. The same one that led us to vote for a new constitution in 2020 and the one that has prevailed in this last decade." And that's your look at the news from around the world.
Are you looking for some movie recommendations this week? Well, look no further because the Revry Streaming Guide has got you covered. First up, we've got God's Own Country, a semi-autobiographical film about a sheep farmer from Yorkshire who develops unexpected and complicated feelings for a migrant worker who comes to work on his farm. Filled with raw emotion and forbidden love, this movie is perfect for a cold winter night. And if you really want to keep the movie night going, make sure to check out the cult classic Hedwig and the Angry Inch. The story follows an East German teen who undergoes gender reassignment surgery and finds herself abandoned in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, where she reinvents herself as a rock star named Hedwig. Celebrating its 20th anniversary, this critically acclaimed rock opera, which the Independent critic called a deeply rich, incredibly authentic musical, is sure to win you over. So get your popcorn ready because I'll have mine in hand. And make sure to watch these streaming right here on Revry.
Well, it wouldn't be an episode of Culture Q if we didn't leave you with a little queer inspiration. And this week we've got two stories for the price of one. A Colorado mother, Sherry Garcia, went viral last week when she tweeted a picture of a note she received from her child with the caption, "My teenager handed me this envelope and asked that I wait to open it until after he went to his dad's house." The note read, "Congratulations, you are now the proud owner of your very own son. Please use he, him pronouns for me now." Garcia went on to say, "After opening it, I called to let him know that the only thing that's wrong with this is the R he accidentally left out of congratulations." The internet lost it, giving the note thousands of likes and retweets and inspired other parents to share their stories. Gosh, I love seeing supportive parents like this. I think it is so sweet, but things are about to get even cuter because our next story is almost unbearably adorable. We all remember that classic scene from 10 Things I Hate About You, where Heath Ledger proclaims his love for Julia Stiles with the marching band. Well, it's not just the stuff of movies anymore. YouTuber Cammie Scott recreated this moment for her girlfriend, using it as the perfect opportunity to propose. And honestly, who could say no? The story obviously went viral and even landed them an interview with Today, where Scott said, "I knew that I wanted it to be something kind of big and epic and very apparent, and all the things she loves wrapped into one. And she loves rom-coms. This is honestly so cute, I can't even handle it." But I'm not the only one. Scott said they've heard from many queer couples who were inspired by them, saying no matter who they are, what the makeup of their couple is, or what their love looks like, anything is possible.
Okay, first of all, wow, I love them so much, and
Obsessed.
I wish I had an engagement like that, but congrats, Cammie and Taryn. All that news is great to end the show. I'm Andy Lalwani signing off.
And I'm Danny Directo. Thanks so much for tuning in to Culture Q this week.
And be sure to catch Culture Q each Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, live and always on demand right here on Revry.